So the holidays are coming up, and I thought it'd be an interesting idea to create a program that kind of simulates a fireplace, a kind of a festive way to welcome the holidays. So let's write a little program here using C, or an Open Watcom C specifically on FreeDOS. So I'm going to go into my devel, into my Watcom C directory. I'm going to run the OW set env, and that sets my environment for compiling with Open Watcom. I'll go back to my D directory where I've got a source directory, and I'm going to go make a new directory in here called call that one fireplace. And so let's go into Fireplace and write our program. So to remind ourselves here, I actually wanted to create something that uses some of the ASCII characters. So this is going to be an ASCII, animated ASCII art version of a fireplace. If I go into the FreeDOS edit program and I go inside the utilities menu and look at the ASCII table, I'm going to use these three little hash marks here that will indicate these different shadings of color. So that's 0xb0, 0xb1, 0xb2. And I'm also going to use the filled in block character. That's over here, the 0xdb character. So that's what we're going to be using to create some little fire entities. So let's go ahead and exit out of that because I like to use the fed editor. And so let's call this one fire.c. So we're going to simulate a fire. Simulate a fire. And to do that, we're going to I would need to have some includes up here. So of course we need to include standard io.h. That's if we need to print anything out onto the screen. I'm also going to be generating some random numbers. And the way that you do that on a DOS machine is with standard lib. So I'm going to include standard lib.h, and that's going to be for the rand function and srand. I'm also going to include time.h, and that allows me to pull in the system time, which I'm going to use as a seed for my random number generator. I'm also, even though I'm not going to use it quite yet, I'm going to also do color mode and conio, so I need to make sure I include conio.h and include graph.h. All right, so let's write a little program here. So we'll do int main, this, let's just remind ourselves how to generate random numbers. And so we're going to always start simple and build your way up. So I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to do an int I. And so we're going to do, let's seed the random number generator. And so we'll do that with a srand on using time, but we're going to pass it the null value, and that will return back to us the number of seconds elapsed since the epoch. And so with that, I now have seeded my random number generator. And then let's just generate a couple of random numbers just to prove that we can. So we'll do a for I equals 0. We'll just generate 10 random numbers. I is less than 10, and then I plus plus. And then let's just do a printf of a random number using rand. I'm actually going to be generating a random number, but it's going to be a huge number. And so let's actually, ultimately I'm going to put this into those 4 different characters. And so I'm going to actually do modulo operation here of 4. So this should give me a random number between 0, 1, 2, and 3. And so that's going to do there. So that'll be rand modulo 4. And then when I'm done, I'm going to just return back. The operating system returns 0. So we're just kind of walking our way up to writing a program. So we'll do WCL, compile this with quiet, and that's fire.c. And then let's go ahead and run fire so we can actually see what it looks like. So you can see here we're getting some random numbers that are always 0, 1, 2, and 3. I'll just run it one more time. So you can see we're getting random numbers all the time because we're seeding the random number generator with a with the system time, and we're getting 0, 1, 2, and 3 because we're doing a modulo with the random number that comes out, because that's going to be a very large number, typically between 0 and rather a very large number. And so let's do another fed of our fire program. And so what I want to do here is I actually want to set this into well, I actually want to keep that. I want to keep SRAM. So I know I don't need the variable right now. We'll recreate that later. And so here I want to, well, actually, there's no point in seeing the number generator if we can't actually set the display mode. So here we're going to set the display. And so we're going to do set video mode, and we're going to set it to text mode at color 80 columns. Now, the thing is that that's going to return a number, 0, or the number of lines that you're setting on the screen. In this case, it'll be 25. And so you really should verify that this call succeeded. So if that number is 0, that means that it failed to set the video mode. So we can just print out to the user, failed to set video mode. And we can return back to the operating system with an error code. Otherwise, now we know that we are actually in text mode color 80, and before we exit the program, we should actually run set video mode one more time, and that will set it to default mode. So that is the function that will return it back to normal. And so at the same time that it sets the video mode, it's also going to clear the screen. And so let's, just to kind of see that we've got something, let's set a little, I'll keep the SRAM there, but let's just set a little frame. So we'll do draw frame. And so ultimately this will be like a little rug or something underneath the fireplace. And so this is really draw a rug. And so we'll just draw a little box. And so here we're going to set the background color. And let's set this one to green. And so if you remember, colors are set using a modified RGB value. So that's an intensity, and then red, green, blue. And so that's going to be set. If we're trying to do green, that means it's going to be 0 for the intensity, because we're doing a low intensity color, 0 for red, 1 for green, 0 for blue, and that is a decimal value of 2. And then let's go ahead and set a text window, because that's how you draw something on the screen. Let's just draw something that's starting at line 14 on the screen, and upper corner is 29 for the column, and then lower right is going to be 20 for the row and 50 for the column. And so all these values are in row column format. And then once I've done that, I can actually just clear the screen using G window, and that'll actually clear just the window. So that's just the window with the background color that we've set. And so it doesn't actually clear the screen by going back to the default video mode. Let's just grab a character from the keyboard. So we'll do if get ch is 0, is 0. That means that we've got an extended key, and we should call it get ch again to get the actual value. But I don't really need the real value, so I'm not going to store it anywhere. I'll just do another get ch. And so what that means is that if it's 0, if it's 0, it's what's called an extended key, and so that means it's like F1 or F2 or something like that, right? So we don't need to have that. That's how you get the extended value. Just call it again, and that gives you another value that actually tells you what the actual key code is. And so here, this is just using this little set of lines here where it's if get ch equals 0, detects if it's an extended key, and if it is, it just calls it one more time to clear it. And then it's able to return back to the default mode and then return back the operating system. So all I'm doing here is just drawing a little rug. And so we'll do a file, save and quit, and we'll do a WCL quiet of my fire.c. And then there it is. I got a little green square showing up on screen. All right, let's draw. So this is going to be a fireplace animation. So let's draw some fire up there. And so we'll do fed one more time on fire.c. And so for that, I'm going to need a function that's going to draw some flame. And so I'm going to do a void function called flame that we can draw at a specific column on the screen. So int call. So that's a specific column on the screen. And so the way this is going to work is I'm going to define a string. So char stir. And I need it to be 4 characters long because that's what I've got, right? I got those different hashed boxes, shaded boxes, and then a filled in box. So this is going to be a string that is going to have positions like 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Because it's a 4 width string. In this case, I'm not actually going to give it a null terminator because it turns out I don't actually need it. There's a function called outmem that allows me to print the contents of a string, but only the certain number of characters that I give it. So I can give it outmem with that string and then 4, and that'll just print out 4 characters. So let's look at a char of a flame, which will also be 4. And with this one, we can actually initialize an array. So if you remember what they were when we looked at it in edit, the values were 0xb0, 0xb1, 0xb2, and so those were the different shaded boxes going from lightest up to darkest, and then we had the filled in box that was 0xdb. And so just to see that we've got this, let's actually, just to demonstrate what that looks like, let's actually set a text position. We'll just put this in the upper left, 1, 1. So that's the upper left. And of whatever text window we're currently in. So actually we've got that green box on there. So this will be 1, 1, the upper left of that green box. That's okay. And then here we can do outmem of the flame array, but only 4 characters, just to show that it actually is going to generate these characters using outmem. And then, of course, once we call flame, then after that we'll do the get ch stuff. So we'll just sort of real quick test it. And so we'll draw some flames. Draw some flames. And so we will, since it doesn't matter what value we give it right now, let's just do flame, and then we can just give it any value right now because it doesn't actually do anything. Here we'll do exit. So right now we're just testing it, and so it doesn't matter what value we give it because we're not actually using call. We might get a warning on that, and that's okay. And so we'll do WCL quiet flame.c. Oops. Fire.c is what this is called. Fire.c. And that works just fine. So run fire. And there you can see in the upper left of the green box, I've got a very lightly shaded. So I got 4 characters. I got a very lightly shaded box, a slightly more shaded box, a slightly more shaded box, and then a filled in box. And so we're going to use that, but we're going to put them vertically to make it look kind of like flame. And so here it's just waiting for me to press the key, so we'll do that. And so let's go back into fed for fire.c. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to let's do this. I need some variables. So we'll do an int of I and then another int variable called n. So here we're going to go ahead and fill the string with spaces, and then we're going to also add some flame characters in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first grab a random number, n equals rand, and modulo with 4. And so that will give me a value that looks like 0, 1, 2, or 3, right? Because that's what that does for modulo. We saw it earlier. And so now I'm going to do a for loop. So for I equals 0, and then I is less than n, and then I plus plus. And so what this is going to do is this will run through a loop from 0 to whatever that random number was. So 0, 1, 2, or 3. And so it might not do anything because n could be 0, in which case I is not 0, and it'll just not do that iteration of the loop. Or it could be that it's picked 3, and so it's going to run all the way through that. And so what we're going to do here is just do we'll add then to the string at that position, and we'll give it a space. And just so we can see it, let's make a dot, just so we can see it. And then after that, I'm going to fill up the rest of the array, which is 4 long, so 0, 1, 2, 3. And so I'm going to fill up the rest of the array with whatever remainder we can get from the flame. And so we're going to do another for loop. In this case, I can now reuse the variable n because I'm done with it. And so for n is 0, and we're going to use n to kind of index through the flame array. And so for n equals 0, and as long as I is less than 4, because that's as long as the string array is, then we're going to do, at the end of each loop, we're going to do I plus plus. Oops, plus plus. And so that's my loop. And here I'm going to add then stir at that position I, which has already carried a value from the end of the for loop up here, right? So that's going to be preserved. And then that is going to be positioned at the flame array at whatever n is. And then when we're done with it, we'll just increment n. And so what that's going to do is if there's no characters in there, if it's 0 rather, if the n is 0 up here, then it should give me nothing in the array. And then it'll fill up the remaining array, the full array, with just the 4 characters from the flame array. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is to kind of make it so that the array can be filled up partially with spaces and partially with the characters from the flame. And then down here, we're setting the text position back to 1, 1, and we're doing an out mem of flame. We'll go back and change that in a minute, but for right now, that's all I really need to do. And so let's do save and quit, wcl quiet of fire.c, and compile fire. And so there we've got that. And is that going to be the same thing? And so what's wrong? Well, because I forgot to actually print out the value of stir. I'm printing out the value of flame, so of course that's not going to be the same all the time. So there's now stir. Since we've now filled it up, we should probably print it out. So now we'll do save and quit, wclq fire.c. And so here we go. So now we're seeing that we got 3 spaces and then the start of the fire, right? So you can see that we're getting just a little lightly shaded box there. If I do it again, it's the same thing, but it should be generating a random number every single time. So here it's filling in the entire thing. And so now, knowing that that's actually working, let's do, let's edit this. Oops, I meant to edit it. Edit the fire.c. And now let's make it vertical. And so this is the cool thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set a text window. So down here, when we're drawing it, we're going to just say draw. And so we're going to set our text window. And so in this case, I want to set it, let's set it to 10, and then whatever column we've asked it for. And then down to 14, and whatever column we've asked it for. And so what this is going to do, this is going to give us, just looking at the the ones place of those numbers from 10 to 14 is going to be give 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's actually one longer than the array, right? So it's one more than stir, and that's okay, because that just means that I'm leaving some room for the cursor to go to the next line, and that's okay. And so with that, I'm going to set my text position still at 1, 1. So the very top of this text window we've just defined. And then we're going to print out our string. And so what that does is, by having a text window where the column part is the same, is it sets up a column, a text window that is one column wide. And so that means when it reaches the outmem, reaches the end of the text window, it just wraps to the next line. And so this is a very cheap, quick way to print 4 characters vertically. That's what that's doing. And let's also down here, let's actually just, rather than do it one at a time, let's actually do a bunch of these things. And so let's do an int call variable. And so rather than calling flame 0, let's actually do flame across an entire range. And so we'll do for call equals 30, as long as call is less than 50, and then call plus plus. And so where I'm getting those numbers is, I'm just sort of looking up here for what I define as my text window. So that was basically 30 to 50, but here it's going to be, well, here it was 29 to 50 for columns, and here it's going to be 30 to 49 because it's less than 40. And so it'll be just inside what we defined as a green rug. And now we can say, call the flame function, flame, at that column position. So now this should fill up the width of the rug that we've defined in this. And so we'll go ahead and save and quit, WCL quiet on fire.c, and we'll run fire. And so there we go. We've got we've created some simulated flames up there, but we haven't set the background color because it's still using the background color we defined already for the green rug piece. And we should probably set a black background. And now that we know that what it's generating, because you can see it's generating some random flames in there. And if I just run this one more time, you'll see that it's going to generate a different flame pattern. And so what we can do is by having a black background, we'll change those dots to spaces. We can actually change the color of the flame by alternating between orange, which is basically brown, and bright yellow. That's kind of flame-like. And so we'll do edit of our fire.c program. And so let's go down here and say when we did, well, let's, I don't need to do this every time I call the fire function. So I can just do it right here after I drew the rug and then before I draw my flames. And so I can set the background color to 0, and that should be black. But let's actually alternate, or not quite alternate, we're going to randomize. Let's randomize the color for the flame. And so we're going to do it right before we call outmem. Let's do if. And so what I'm going to do is it's basically a coin flip, because I'm going to flip between like orange and yellow. And so in this case, I can say if rand, and then let's do a binary and with just the 1 bit. And so that's basically like doing a coin flip. And so we're going to do that. And so if it is an odd number, so 1, 3, 5, the 1 bit will be set in that case, right? And so if that's the case, then we'll do a set color to be, let's do, I think 6. Yeah, 6 should be brown, which is in this case really going to stand in for orange. And then if it's that's actually not set color. It's actually set text color. And then if it's not an odd number, basically if it's an even number, then we're going to set the text color to 14, and that will be a bright yellow color. And so having set the text background color earlier, and now setting the text color to be a random choice between orange and bright yellow, now each one of my flames should be either brown or yellow with a black background. So that's kind of what I want. And so we'll save and quit. We'll do a WCL quiet on fire.c, and we'll run the fire program. There we go. So I forgot to change the dots, but that's okay. We can change the dots to spaces, and let's kind of see what this looks like by running. Just let it run by itself. Kind of see what this looks like when it runs by itself. Although I don't like the fact that I've got my cursor blinking there. So we're gonna remove the cursor at the same time. So let's exit back to the DOS, and we'll edit our fire program, fire.c. And so up here, let's change the dots to spaces. And then down here, after we set the display, we can turn the cursor off. And so we do that with display cursor. With G cursor off. And so that turns off the display of the cursor for any functions like outmem. And then let's run this until we actually press a key. And so down here where it actually is drawing the characters, let's actually put a do loop around this. And so we'll say do this loop while the function KB hit, which indicates if somebody has pressed a key on the keyboard, while that's 0. And so once KB hit is a non-zero value, that indicates that somebody has pressed a key on the keyboard. And probably should put a curly brace in front of that. And then it can actually get that key from the keyboard, which we don't need to do anything with, but at least we'll kind of have eaten that extra character. We've kind of cleared it. Let's also indent this by just highlighting that and then doing tab. And so now I've got do that entire loop until someone hits a key on the keyboard. And so this should now generate some flames. And so we'll do a file, save and quit, WCL quiet on fire.c. And we'll run the fire program. Hey, we got some flames on the top of our rug. We haven't drawn the rest of the fireplace yet, but we've got flames sitting on top of a rug here. And so it's just kind of looking kind of noisy and random. I can slow that down a little bit by adding a little bit of a delay. Let's do that. And so we'll just press a key. There we go. Fed of fire.c. All right, so to add a delay, we're going to need another include up here. And so we'll do include i86.h, and that allows us to do things like the delay function. And so while we're running the loop, so down here in the main function, while it's running that loop, oops, I was almost there. While we're running that loop, after it's drawn each set of flames in a row, we'll just run a delay function. So the delay function of 100 should give me a delay of about 1/10 of a second. And so I'm delaying this quite a bit, and that's okay. I think this will look a little bit better. All right, so one more time. So do file, save and quit, WCL quiet, fire.c. Hey, there we go. So now I've got my fire going on my rug, and I don't have a cursor being displayed, so it's not getting any weird noise there. And the nice thing about choosing this for displaying each set of spaces and fire symbols in columns is that it's just a very cheap way to generate a single column of 4 characters. The characters at the top could be spaces, and then it's filling in the rest with fire characters. And so it looks a little bit like a fire, but let's now add the fireplace to make the rest of this look really nice. All right, so now we need to remember fed fire.c. Now we need to remember where we actually are defining that. So I'm going to jump down here to the main program. And so we've drawn a rug that went from upper left was row 14, column 29, ending on row 20, column 50. And so after we've drawn the rug, let's draw a bit of a chimney. And so this will be above. And so we'll do a chimney. And so for this, we need to set the background color to be red. And so red should be 4, right? Because if you remember IRGB, this will be 0100, which is a decimal value of 4, right? Because we're setting the intensity is just regular intensity, so that's a 0. And then that's our red value, and everything else is black. And so that gives us a regular intensity of red. And here we're going to set the text window. And so let's do this on starting at the top of the screen. That's row 1. And let's put this in a little bit from the rug. And so we'll do this as column 30, and then we'll end it at line 14, because that's actually where the fire is being drawn, but we'll erase it anyway. That's okay. So there's 14, and then we'll bring it over to 49. And so this is one narrower than the rug that we're drawing. And then now we can set, oops, I'm going to do clear screen of that window, G window. And now we can actually draw a fireplace kind of around it. So we'll do a fireplace. And so now we'll draw a fireplace around where the fire actually is. And so this will be a set. I don't need to set the background color again. I've already done it. So we'll do a set text window. And so for this one, I need it to go around where the fire is. And so that should be row 9 and then column 28. And so this is wider yet than the rug, just by 1. And so that'll be 28 down to 14 and 51. And so that should make something that is 1 wider than the rug. And now we can clear the screen using just that window, G window. And so I've drawn a chimney up here first. And so that basically is drawing something going up all the way to the top of the screen. That's what that's meant to do. And now I've got a fireplace that's meant to kind of be a red frame around where the fire is. And then when we draw the flames, all this stuff is going to overwrite where I've got that background color, because I'm setting the background color up here to black anyway, right? There's my black background color. And then I'm setting the text color to be whatever I need for the flame. So it's okay that we're using some solid rectangles up here to define the chimney and then the fireplace. It's okay that we're using solid rectangles up there. We're going to fill it out when we do the flames being drawn. So I think with that, we can probably be done. So we'll do WCL quiet. So we'll do fire.c, and I have an error somewhere. So let's go and fix that. So line 14, apparently is not line 14. What did I miss? What did I just add? Let's go and double check that. I just added. Those all look okay. All right, let's go and see what my error was. Let's quit WCL quiet fire.c. And so, oh, I'm sorry. I said found 14. Actually, line 74 is where that is. And so now I need to go over to line 74. So jump down to the bottom where I was editing some stuff, and then line 74 is right there. And so, oh, because I'm missing a comma. There we go. And so that's our debugging. And so now we'll do file, save, and quit, WCL, quiet, fire.c. And I don't see any errors this time, and that means we actually have a program that should work. And there we go. We've got a holiday fireplace that has a chimney drawn up there. Looks like it's a little off to the left than I wanted to, but now I've got some flames being drawn in there, which is a nice little warm, happy reminder of the holidays. And so, if you wanted to, let's fix that that chimney just so I can have something that looks nice. Fed fire.c. And so, where did I find the chimney? And so I said I wanted the chimney to be, I said 46, and actually it really should be 49. I'm not quite sure. I meant to be one narrower, and I was definitely off by a bit. So 50 is what we've got up here. So it needs to be one narrower than that. So that's 49. And so now I'll save and quit, WCL quiet, fire.c, and then fire. There we go. Now I've got a nice fireplace. If you want an animated ASCII art for the holidays, you can make yourself a little animated fire for your FreeDOS system. So we got a little rug sitting in front of a fireplace, and it's kind of a nice little thing to let run on the system, and just to remind yourself that we got Thanksgiving coming up and then Christmas at the end of the year. What'd you think about this video? Let me know in the comments below. Before I go, thanks to everybody who subscribes to or supports me on Patreon. You really do make this channel happen. I know I say that all the time, but you give me time away from my work to actually do these videos and to write other content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Visit our website at freedos.org. Join us on Facebook. Follow us on Mastodon. And consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you.